The 2000s was a different era for movies, with subgenres such as spy thrillers, torture horror, and teen comedies reigning supreme. A lot of these still see the light of day now in 2026, but one which doesn't, at least not till now, was parody films. These films would basically spoof any relevant film or franchise and attempt to generate cheap laughs. The end products were mostly horrendous, with titles such as epic movie, superhero movie, or disaster movie. The supply was endless and tedious, all thanks to one successful franchise, the Scary Movie franchise. Now, some of these films use this concept in the correct manner and generate some genuinely hilarious films, yet others don't. There is no denying it is one of the more unique franchises to exist, given its identity, which spawns from the Wayan brothers. After 2 financially successful entries, the brothers failed to strike a deal with the 2 infamous individuals running Miramax. This resulted in Scary Movies 3 to 5 featuring no tie to its franchise's creators. The 6th entry, however, is a different story. Now, I never knew how I would rank these films, given that their plot and characters are ripped directly out of other films. Yet with the release of Scary Movies 6, the first entry in 13 years, I am left with no choice. So let me rank them all today, more so on entertainment than overall quality. By this point, the franchise is purely running on fumes, with Scary Movie 5 being the worst addition to the series. Where this franchise had cleverly twisted parodical natures into its human story, this one just lazily crams in as many references as possible and does so in such painful fashion. Now, there's a heavier reliance on suspension of disbelief within this franchise, yet this one has no structure at all. It just jumps from reference to reference, creating an immensely messy final product. Where this franchise will get more leeway in regard to that topic, Scary Movie 5 just doesn't justify it at all, with every scenario coming off as cringy or annoying rather than any sort of laugh. There is no structure at all, just purely relying on trying to entertain, yet it does not do that at all. So what you're left with is just a chaotic final result. Scary Movie 4 highlights the cracks that started to form with this franchise going into abysmal territory, as once again the overabundance of references just felt way too forced rather than clever like it had done before, although saying that there still were some hilarious moments as well. The same issues kind of lie here as well, where I know you're not supposed to tune in for the narrative, but the lack of structure and jumping from scene to scene just makes such a mess that if it doesn't make you laugh, then it's very noticeably bad. Now, you did get a few laughs here and there, but overall I thought more jokes missed than landed. So I think where Scary Movie 5 had just been bad and the other ones had been funny, this one was quite boring, to be honest. Annoyingly, the new Scary Movie is this far down on the list. This sees the franchise return after a 13-year hiatus, and I'm so glad to see the Wayan brothers back involved. Yet the marketing didn't really do it for me, and now seeing this film, neither did the film. Since this film has been long overdue, it does sort of feel as though it needed to play catch up, and because so much time has passed in the world and the horror genre, it feels like a record amount of content is covered in this short runtime. I thought it was smart for this film to follow the requel structure that Scream 5 followed, so naturally you have some kind of structure to it for all these crazy scenarios to take place, and they did take place, yet I thought the execution of them wasn't as strong as it could have been. It's widely renowned that the comedy genre has become more tame with its jokes and not as edgy, and I felt as though this film thought it was trying to bring back that edgier tone without actually doing it. It would address controversial things without actually making anything out of them. It kind of just touched on them at the surface level, so it felt more focused on touching upon the shocking things than actually making anything shocking out of it. Furthermore, I thought the jokes were quite lazily crafted. Obviously, it's all done in a parodical nature, yet there were, again, I use this term, it's very surface level, and yes, there were moments where you did laugh, and a particular moment that stands out that I know people will know what I'm referring to if they've seen it. Overall, I just thought the comedy missed, and it was quite disappointing to say that because there was so much anticipation for the return of this franchise. There was nice nostalgic moments, but overall it felt quite hollow, and it just felt like it was being funnier than it was. Now, I did actually really enjoy the final 20 minutes, thought it was very clever what they did there, and I wish that they could have incorporated the qualities of that into the film, yet everything before it was quite disappointing. This has always been my controversial take with this franchise, but I didn't actually like Scary Movie 2 all that much, even though it is one of the only few features to have the Wayan brothers involved. It's just the repetitive comments of saying that while they do touch on fun scenarios, the way it's done is quite lazy and is very hit and miss with the entertainment from that. I feel as though because this had been released literally a year after the first one, that there wasn't as much effort put into the script and the jokes. So while there are a lot of funny moments, there are also a lot of ones where you just keep a straight face. The signature humour from the Wayan brothers is there and does work in moments, yet there is also plenty of jokes which misfire and just some outdated references as well. I don't know why, but Scary Movie 3 holds a special place in my heart. It was at once upon a time my favourite of the franchise, which is just such a crazy thing to think about now. I watched all of these films many years ago, and I got the chance to rewatch them all for this ranking, and this was the one which I was quite excited to revisit because I just remember watching it with my friends and having a great time with it, and I still find it very entertaining and a perfect example of what this franchise could be, despite the lack of the Wayan brothers and even a PG-13 rating, which I never actually noticed until this rewatch. And that's to say that it couldn't be as edgy as it wanted to be, especially compared to the first two entries because of that age rating, but I really think it does a lot with that rating and can produce laughs from more adult themes. Unsurprisingly, this film is messy. All of the films are messy, otherwise it would be dull if they weren't, but there is some kind of structure. There is a point A and a point B, and the journey to get there is what is messy, but in the weird universe of Scary Movie and parody films, it makes sense. The incorporated plots from obviously other films do generate some hilarious moments. Yes, there are moments which do miss, as in all these films, but there are also some of the series' highlights. Despite the lack of original creators, you still do have the signature humour involved. Whilst I do think this has the more funnier individual moments of the entire franchise, it isn't consistent all the way through and ultimately is quite poor in many areas as well. But it puts a smile on my face while watching, so for that, it is in at second place. But yeah, coming in at first place is going to be Scary Movie, the original. This is such an influential film, just like the film that it's parodying, Scream. It's such a seamless display of wacky comedy whilst also still following a plot somehow. Yes, it is obviously going along with Scream's main plot line, and I know what you did last summer, but the way it does so and incorporates the comedic moments feels so natural and unique as well. It does feel very similar to Scream, which just makes it feel so weird in a sense because it incorporates so many weird gags and dumb moments, but they all just work because of such a strong cast connection and cleverly written humor. That is one thing a lot of these films and these franchises have struggled with, because the humor is all about addressing films or topical subjects without actually making something smart or funny out of it. Yet here in Scary Movie, it does so. It justifies referencing films because it switches up the formula in a funny way, which has aged superbly. There's a reason that this film is so beloved 26 years later. It is just such a unique film with edgy humour without trying too hard, and the end result is a perfect film to have on with a big crowd of your friends. So that was my ranking of all 6 Scary Movie movies. It is one of the more unique franchises, as I mentioned. It's not one that you can nitpick with strong cinematography or complex written characters. No, it's not a film like that, and if you are looking to dissect the film like that, then I don't think these films are for you. Obviously, I did touch on some things, but you do still need to have some kind of quality within the filmmaking to make it work. A lot of these films don't, but I think given what the best films are in this franchise. They work for what they are. Let me know what your ranking is down below. I'm eager to hear because it could be all kinds of different ways. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.